Hey, Ice, Game Changer here. So let's have a little scanny, mate. So first thoughts is looks pretty strong. Got a nice position for the war factory there, so that's going to be good. Nicely protected. Walls are fairly solid, but you just need to be bearing in mind this hole here would mean that any tanks that deploy would actually spill out. So all walls really should touch if that's the effect you want. What I do is I've got my walls all touching so that any tanks or any soldiers come out, then clearly they get trapped within the walls, and that gives a much harder sort of attack, because as soon as you break the wall, everything spills out and kind of gets at you. My thoughts initially are your turrets are working well. I mean, the principle you've got with your turrets is some turrets will protect other turrets, if that makes sense. So while you're attacking one turret, you're going to be picked off by another, which is good. I'd just be mindful. I'm not a massive fan of railguns. The charge time of a railgun is such that it does take enough time that you can kill it before it fires. Equally as well, although it's difficult to set it up otherwise, you would take out this transformer first, which would decrease the power of the railgun, so it would charge up too slow. So I would probably change that to maybe a howitzer or something along that sort of line to give you some range, because that would be the other problem as well. If you spawned here from this location and say came at your war factory with even something like mortarmen or anything that you can fire over the top of, you could take your war factory out and there's nothing protecting this side. So your war factory is quite vulnerable from that side as well. Now, if I was attacking your base, what I would do personally is I would deploy here. I would take out the infantry base. I would take out these first few turrets here, because this one here, I'd take out the transformer, which will depower, and then once I've taken out that machine gun there, which I could do by just kind of parking a tank where this is, and then Humvees or any other sort of vehicle, obviously I use Zeus personally, would take that turret out. There's going to be nothing on this side going to be taking us out, because I can get rid of your flak and take care of the railgun and probably not be picked up by the salvo. So you need possibly something with a slightly longer range in. So I would get rid of the railgun and I would put in something like a mortar. I don't know if you can get the new mortar that's just come out of the Peacemaker, but that's very, very effective. So I'd have a little look at that. The other thing I'd look at is make sure you've got some protection, so that railgun change to say the salvo or even a howitzer, and maybe swap the flak for the position of that railgun there. Swap them two over, and then what that will do is if you've got some sort of salvo or howitzer, then it would be firing over this mountain and stopping people coming from that side, so that'll be good. The other thing I'd look at as well is your mines, especially with a lot of vehicles having a slightly longer range. Your mines for me aren't really effective, because I will be skirting around the outside of them. I'd be travelling quite wide of them, so I'd maybe get them pushed out a little bit from areas that you think people are going to come at. So for me, the main area I'm going to come at you is from this side, so I'd be putting a mine about sort of here, just if you look at the centre of the screen there, I'm pointing, obviously you can't bloody see it, but if you look at where it says scout in there, I'd probably have a mine somewhere in that sort of area, because that's where I'm going to come from, and that then is going to push me in other areas. So if you had another mine, say in this area here, stop me coming from that area and in. If you've got another mine sort of here, and so on and so forth. So have a think about where people are attacking you, and you can do that by watching your videos, and you'll probably obviously tweak that. Now, my other criticism I would say is that your base is quite large. Now, you've got round that by having all your turrets inside, so that kind of makes the base smaller in a sense, because your firepower is condensed. But what I would do personally, I would bring the helicopter outside, but put it on, say, somewhere over here, and then I would bring your barracks inside, because whatever you do with your helicopter, they're going to fly over the walls, so they don't really need to be in the walls. You know, I mean, it doesn't really sort of help, but by picking off your troops here, I mean, especially if you've got people like snipers and things like that, or mortarmen, excuse me, which I use a lot of, they're quite valuable, especially if you keep them inside the wall. Because what happens then is when people attack the outside, you know, everything's sort of inside the wall and doesn't spill outside. So as soon as you get in and break the wall down, then your tanks and your mortarmen or whatever you're using in your barracks spill out and attack. So I would try and get them in, because I would say personally that you're going to lose that barracks in the first few seconds, because that's exactly what I would be hitting. I'm always trying to hit and take things out. Once I've took out these turrets here, you know, I could then pull back, let everything come out of your barracks and pick it off one by one. It wouldn't really cause us any bother, so maybe just have a little tweak of that and certainly get some mine protection here. Other than that, bro, I think you're good. You can maybe see about getting things spaced out a little bit more. You know, you could possibly try and eradicate that spawn zone there. Every other spawn zone, if you look at how far somebody would have to start if they were attacking, I mean, they're going to have to start pretty far out, which is excellent. That's exactly what you want to be aiming for. So I'll show you what I'm doing on my own. I'm not saying it's the way, but it's certainly a way. It's working quite well at the moment, but obviously keep tweaking things. Yep, your message is coming up there, so yep, I certainly will do, bro. Okay, loading seems to be taking a little while today. Okay, so we're on my base here now. Just a different way of working. We're similar in the sense that we're trying to put the base in the centre, so that, you know, you've got the maximum distance spawned. I use other people to have a look at my base as well, to make sure I haven't got any sort of hidden spawn zones. That's usually a good idea, a little bit like I've just done with you there. If you get into take some screenshots so you can have a little look. Now, if you came from this side of the mountain, then you're going to be picked up by this howitzer, because if you look there, the range is pretty much protected and covered, so that prevents you firing over the top of things. If you come around from this side, I've got a mine in place. I will have an extra mine to you at the moment. If you come between these two areas, there's going to be a mine placed there, so that's going to be a little bit off-putting. And if you notice, they're out a little bit of a distance as well, because to take these turrets out, you're going to roughly be in this sort of area here, where the mines are. You know, that's what I'm thinking is, you know, where will you be when you start attacking you? So that's where I've put the mines. If you notice, the footprint of the base is very, very small. So again, everything is pretty much covering as much as you can everything else. I'm trying to get as much overlap as I can. That's the new Peacemaker that I was telling you about. Huge radius on it, so that's going to rain shit on people straight away. Now the helicopters, let's be fair, with Zeus, with snipers, with various other things like that, your helicopters don't survive very, very long. It is the way of it. I suspect that's probably what you found anyway. So for me, I'd rather my helicopters be on the outside. And then what happens is I've got vehicles here that spawn. I like to use tanks. Anything that takes time to kill is what I'm aiming at. And anything that takes time to kill means they're pushing back. It means other things get deployed. Time's running out. Puts them under pressure. So that's what I'm aiming at. I have got a Zeus, so obviously that helps. I use that as a extra air defense, because that comes out after 7 seconds. But for me, inside my base is what I've got, defenders and things like that, because that's another key element to it. I've got a sniper again that's going to help with air defense, and then I've got mortarmen after mortarmen. You can see there's a lot of firepower there. That's like having another turret inside your base. That really does give a good effect. But anything of mine that comes out, if you notice, is going to be trapped inside these walls, and they don't escape. And then once, obviously, you break that wall down, all hell lets loose. And obviously then you're already under fire by the turrets and things like that, so it can be quite effective. Again, I'm looking at where people like to spawn. So if you're going to spawn from this sort of area here, I've got a mine. If you're spawning from this area here, first glance you might not see it, but there's a mine hidden behind. I'm also using, I mean, it's a silly trick and you probably spot it most times, but there's a extra machine gun behind the smoke there, just to try and give that little bit of extra firepower. I've got 2 flak. I think 2 air defence is something that you should look at, going forward if you haven't already. Only having 1 air defence, i.e. 1 flak, is probably going to not be quite strong enough. Also have a look at what base strength your turrets are at, and although I've just upgraded to level 7 for my war factory, for my CC, so that means I've got new levels of turrets available. Previous to that, I had everything absolutely maxed out, so if the game changed, then I could put in the new turret, because it costs nothing XP wise to upgrade your turret. It does cost XP to upgrade the base, so obviously that's a little good tip. You could try and get to that done. I've got enough oil to make up to 25,000. That keeps me running as long as I possibly can. But I haven't upgraded any of the metal. They're all quite low. I earn my metal, I don't farm it, so I'm not really bothered about the metal. Like yourself though, I do believe in having good fobs. I've tried to get my fobs upgraded, so I've got 4s and 4s. That 4 in the helicopter, by the way, people have said it's not worth doing because if you've only got level 1 guardians, but you actually get a 300% health span extra on your guardian, so that's quite a devastating attack. So if you can, have a little look at getting the helicopters upgraded. If you can't yet because you're level, then obviously it's something to do going forward. So yeah, just a different way of working, bro. A bit more condensed, very little footprint. Hopefully everything that is attacking will get attacked by something else in return. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do, make it as difficult as possible. I mean, don't be disheartened as well if you do get your bases taken out, because with the new kind of fob structure now, where you're basically getting attacked by four people, 3 fobs and the person themselves, is not a great deal we're going to be able to do, but it's certainly trying to make the best of what you can and take as much of them out with you as possible. Okay, bro, all the best, cheers.